Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Just gonna give you guys an update on the skid steer. How's it going, Marty Rudder? He was asking. And yeah, it's winter time, everyone. Winter time can be a tough go here. I'm in Manitoba on the prairies, and it gets cold here. Real cold. There's not many places that get colder than here. You know, minus 30, minus 40, we get that. But anyhow, friends, old Gale here, my 1998. I got some paper here for today's video. Just give me a second. This is a 1998 SX 5635 Gale skid steer, 60 horsepower. I went to Old Canadian Tire. Got a new Group 31 battery, slid it in there. This was last night. I'll tell you why you didn't get a video of that. But I slipped this in here last night and she fired right up. So, yeah, it was just a battery. I still haven't put that heater in. The problem is, it's not a problem. I got to make time to do it. And I have a 2-year-old, so my brain is, well, I'm a dad, and I spend a lot of family time now. Wouldn't trade it for anything. You guys know what I'm talking about. Dads out there, you got children, you guys know it's a special time when you got a 2-year-old. Especially, I am going to be 43, so we never thought we'd have children. We were blessed with this child, and if you go back at the channel a couple of years, I had to spend a year off of work almost. My wife was on bed rest, and I had to look after her. So I took a year off of work, which is not like me. I'm a work guy, career man, and it was the best thing I ever did. So, you know, we have a beautiful 2-year-old. But anyways, friends, the heater on this, these are 2 oil lines, and they go up and run through the heater and the cab. I got to unhook all this. I can't really get at the lines. I want to put that diesel heater that I bought in here, and but I gotta rip these out. So I went to the store and bought 2 brass plugs that should fit, and then we'll do that. I gotta pull this thing to the shop. But anyhow, friends, this thing, well, here, you guys can see pile there. It's blown back in again because, well, the wind. It's warm out, friends. It's above freezing, but we moved a little bit of snow last night. But anyhow, this thing's all fixed, and we're good to go. Just got home from work. Sorry, friends, that's loud. Let's walk back to the saw shop. I just got home from work, friends. I got stuck in a traffic jam in Winnipeg, and got home late. But today's video, well, I'm walking to the shop. Pop-up versus flat-top Pistons. I get a lot of questions about this. Let's go into the shop and talk about that. And also, I'll talk to you guys. I'm going to do something I've been planning on doing for a while, but I think I'm going to do it. So I got a bunch of old videos. Let's talk about that. A couple things before I get into today's video. Number one, I got this nice jacket in the mail from Ryan at Wolf Creek Saw Shop. He sent it to me for Christmas. And I've been living in this thing. It's perfect size. It's a Carhartt. And I needed a new Carhartt jacket, and he saved me a trip to the city. So, Ryan, thank you, buddy. That Ryan at Wolf Creek Saw Shop's quite a guy. It's on my list. I want to go to Colorado and shake the guy's hand, even if it's for 5 minutes. Just want to say, hey, buddy, pleasure to meet you. But anyways, thank you, Ryan. Number 2, I have a whole backlog of videos, a lot of old ones from 3, 4, 5 years ago that I made and never put up for whatever reason. I know what the reason was, friends. Back then, in the old days, let's talk about YouTubing and how you grow as a content creator. And YouTube's like this, friends. It's just like life. Sometimes you got nothing but time and content on the go. Other times, like right now, friends, I've been kind of like this. It's been really cold out. Work's been busy, and I haven't had a huge amount of time to play in the shop. So, and as you guys know, this is one of the number one misconstrued things. People think I actually am running a saw shop here, where I'm not. I'm just puttering in my shop. That's one misconception. But anyways, friends, in the old days, I was a piecework sheet metal installer. So I got paid per job, okay? So the more jobs I did, the more money I made. Doesn't matter if it took me an inch or a mile. So I did it for about 15 years, friends. That's how I got to where I am now. I just grabbed the ball and I ran with it. And but here's the thing, I would have a lull in the action, usually one day a week. During the week, I wouldn't be at work. I would work 12, 14 hours Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, sometimes Saturday. But a lot of times I had a day in the middle of the week, so I would spend it doing yard work and working on saws, and then weekends and evenings. So I ended up with a lot of extra content back in the day, and I just never put stuff live. So I have a decent backlog of videos, not a huge amount, but there's 3 or 4 that I think I'll put up. So I think starting in the next week, I'll start posting the odd old video, and you guys can see where I came from. I come from modest beginnings, friends, and I try and keep my channel the way it is because I don't ever forget where I came from. So maybe it's time I do a video on how I got here. Just kind of maybe a little bit of a blueprint, or not a blueprint because everybody's life is different, but maybe a little bit of a, the younger guys that are watching, and maybe kind of a how I got to where I am, from where I started to where I am now. But anyhow, friends, if you see, I'll post it as old video or unreleased video and just send it, and you guys can laugh. Some of them are really old, shot on that side of the shop, and before I had a good camera. There's some in there I didn't have a bipod yet, so I noticed that I have all these videos sitting that I've never dropped, and they may be of use to some of you guys, because some of them are good. I'm repairing saws. Some of them are just me running. I found the video of me running my 262. I'm going to make that go live. It's like a 10-minute video of just me bucking logs with a short bar. That's how old it is. That video was shot, I think that video was shot December of 2019, friends. So it's getting to be pretty old. Anyhow, today's video, I get asked all the time. So you guys are rebuilding a saw, and I get asked, pop-up or flat top? Which do I choose, Tin Man? They're the same price. I can get them both. What do you recommend and why? I don't understand. Why would I use a pop-up? Why would I use a flat top piston? I'm going to touch on making your own pop-up, but this video is pretty much going to be, you're rebuilding a saw and you want to know pop-up or flat top. Stay tuned. Okay, so flat top versus pop-up. This is a 272 piston. This is a 372. It doesn't matter. You guys can see the bench. I got to clean up again. A lot of wrenching's gone on last week. I'm having light issues on my water trailer, so I'm gonna have to fix that outside. I guess I could do it in my shed where the skid steer's parked, but that's a mud floor. I don't really like working in there, but my lights are flickering. I have no brake lights, and the light on my brake controller is now out, but I have trailer brakes, so kind of weird. But anyhow, that'll be a video for another day. This is what we do around here. Okay, flat top. Okay, we're just referring to the profile of the top. Flat top, pop-up. Okay, all a pop-up does is fills the combustion chamber a little bit, right? It lowers the capacity of the combustion chamber, okay, which will raise your compression a little bit, right? So you're rebuilding a saw, or you could be porting it, but I'm going to start with you're rebuilding a saw. Do you want pop-up or flat top? If I'm just rebuilding a saw, let's say you're doing a a gasket delete, and a muffler mod, I would probably tell you to go with a pop-up. Okay? It's more noticeable than the other way, which is a full port job. And I've tested thoroughly pop-ups and flat tops, and I'll tell you which one I tend to go with now. Okay, the other way is you can cut a pop-up in the top of the piston. I have done that. A few of my highlight reel saws actually have pop-ups cut into them. But okay, so if you're rebuilding a saw, gasket delete. Now, one misconception, and I guess I can't really compare them. This is a highway pop-up from Wolf Creek. Okay, the crown of this is factory height. Okay, there is no difference in it. They just added the pop-up. Okay, that's one misconception. If you cut a pop-up, then this will end up being lower than factory because this would be the height, right? Okay, but this is factory height and this is added, okay? So that's one thing to remember. So if you're doing a gasket delete and a muffler mod and you're just rebuilding a saw, I would recommend a pop-up. This is going to give you more mid-range power and just more tug, more pull, okay? You will notice it a little bit, okay? A pop-up is not going to give you 10 more horsepower. It's not going to be harder to start, maybe a little bit more thumpy, but it'll just give you a little more mid-range and a little more bottom end is what I find. Now, that is more conducive to the average firewood cutter. Most people, and I've noticed this, and I used to be one of them, they tend to dog in and pull and do stuff like that. That's just how people cut. And if that's how you grew up cutting, that's how you're going to cut, right? And that style of cutting, you tend to need more grunt in the mid-range because your two-stroke wants to run at the top and they can fall out of their power band really quickly. So if you have more grunt in the middle, when they come down, when you're dogging them in and that, it tends to help to have a little more compression in that scenario, okay? So I would say put a pop-up in if you're just rebuilding. I think you'll enjoy it. And again, if you run your saw sharp and you're not, super hard on your saw, you will notice you'll have a bit more power, okay? This will not change your port timing. Okay, none of that occurs. It'll just give you a little higher compression. Okay, just a hair. I should put a pop-up in a saw and compression test it to tell you guys how much. Okay, and then you have your good old flat top. Now, if I'm porting a saw, okay, I've done both. You guys notice at the beginning of my channel, I used a lot of pop-ups because I thought, in my mind, these were going to be the cat's meow and they're going to make all kinds of power. I'll put it to you this way, friends. If I port a saw with a pop-up, okay, I often will raise the exhaust port the height of the pop-up to keep my compression stock. I do that sometimes, okay? Because I want RPM, and I like a saw that has power at the utmost RPM. Up here, okay? Like a race car or a racing motorcycle up here. I don't so much want it here and here. I want that power at the top. Now, that is not for everybody. I have had some really good teachers. You guys could probably guess who, that are like, Tin Man, what are you doing? Like, Tin Man, sharper chain. Fix your rakers. Don't dog in so hard. I've had a lot of good teachers over the years because I'm a big fella. I'm 6'2", 6'3". I'm a big fella. I got big arms. I muscle things. And that's not... What I found is being smooth is the key. Being smooth with a saw. They fluidity. They run better. You use less fuel. It's easier on your hands. Okay? So as I've gotten to be a better sawman and my sawmanship's gotten better, I've kind of gotten away from this. Okay? But there's another reason. I'm going to get the old Tin Man 3000 whiteboard here, a sheet of paper. Let's talk about this because it's kind of interesting. And I grabbed our front to back cutaway, which will help you guys visualize this. Okay, so let's talk about a pop-up first. Here is your pop-up piston. You can't see that very good on here. I'm going to get a more aggressive marker, something thicker. Okay, let's draw a pop-up. Here's your pop-up. Here's your piston crown. You have a pop-up crown. Okay, wrist pins there. Skirt. You guys know what's going on here, right? Here's your pop-up. Exactly what you see here. Now, when your upper transfer ports feed, this is the key, friends. I've had this conversation with some of the best two-stroke builders in the world, and I really thought about what they said, or best chainsaw two-stroke builders. There's guys that build two-strokes that, the guys that I know. And I've had this conversation, and what I've gleaned and through my own experiments, so here's what happens. You have your upper transfer. I'm going to draw it here, okay? There's your piston wall. Here's your upper transfer, okay? And it comes down like this. Okay, there's your upper transfers. Your crankshaft is down here. Your air and fuel mixes in the bottom. And as the piston comes down, it goes up, right? It is forced up. Okay, it's just positive and negative pressures. Okay, that's what I deal with all day in the heating industry. But it's the same scenario, okay? As you squeeze this, that positive pressure in the bottom wants to get pushed into the negative pressure in the top, okay? As that upper transfer opens, okay, that air comes out and it hits the pop-up. Okay? And what that may cause is some of it, not all of it, but some of it at the very beginning when you're at your highest pressure to swirl. Okay? Which should cause a disruption in your mixing, okay? In your combustion chamber. Okay, and if you look at transfers, if this is your cylinder bore and you have transfers here, okay, and here, here's your exhaust port, here's your intake port, okay? If you notice, the transfers feed in and they hit every two-stroke you look at, stock ones, okay? The air goes in and it hits above the intake port. They're supposed to feed in there, they hit, and then they swirl, okay? And then your spark plug's somewhere around here, okay? So they come in, hit, swirl back. Come in, hit, swirl back. That's the journey. When you do have a pop-up, okay, it will disrupt some of that swirling, okay? Or some of that mixing. It does disrupt the airflow because you have this ledge, okay? We'll draw it even bigger, okay? Just one side of it. You have this ledge that the air is hitting, which is going to cause some of it to bounce back and go up, and you can't control that, friends, okay? So, when I'm porting a saw, I tend to like flat tops now. I used to be a pop-up guy, but once I started using flat tops, even at a lower compression, static, we're talking static compression, which is the compression you feel when you're pulling it over. Two strokes. If you read the books, friends, this is a highly contested subject. If you read the books, two strokes build compression with RPM. That's a fact. At least everything I've read, that's what it says. Okay, static compression is not as critical. And one of the ways you can build compression is a good pipe. Some of that fuel and air that is spent comes back in like a supercharging effect. As that fuel and air is pulled out through the exhaust, it will pull it through the transfers, okay? And if you don't have a pop-up, here's your piston again. I hope you guys are picking up what I'm throwing down. Remember, I do not script anything Every video you guys see, I just shoot and it's off the top of my head. Sometimes I stumble or I misspeak. It's just me. Friends, I don't plan any of this stuff. I plan videos, but I don't script them. I literally turn the camera on and give you guys whatever I'm doing that day. Okay? Where this, it's uninterrupted. The two can meet each other in the middle, over top of the intake port, and mix. Okay? What I find, friends, ported saws, I get better power, better saws with a flat top. Okay? Now, there is a happy medium with the pop-up and porting. So you have your pop-up piston. Now this is more of an advanced technique. It's not advanced, but you got to be good with a grinder before you start doing stuff like this. And the only way to do that, friends, is to wreck a few cylinders. And if you're like me, do it on YouTube with thousands of people watching. Okay, so let's say this side is a stock transfer, and we'll just say it comes in straight. Okay, the air comes out of the bottom and it enters on a straight line. What you can do, this is when you go in with your grinder, you can pitch them up so that the air flows up and over your pop-up, okay? And I've even seen guys, sometimes they'll grind it on an angle right here, mark where your transfers are, and they will pitch the piston up just slightly to make a ramp so that that air comes out and again goes up the ramp and over the pop-up. Now, these highway pop-ups are small. They're 30 thousandths, I think, 20 thousandths. They're not going to affect the airflow that much, but there is a little bit of a difference. So, but honestly, friends, this is what I recommend to most people, because in a stock saw, you will feel it at the upper ends of porting and that. You may be looking for one of these. I have ported saws with pop-ups. I have ported saws with flat tops. I can make both run good, but I find for me it's less work to make this run good. And I mean, friends, I am splitting hairs, but I'm just trying to tell you guys what I know. And again, look at the way the transfers flow, okay? I'm talking pitch them up like this, okay? Take your transfer, you go in with your grinder, and you pitch them up so that the air hits that roof and goes shook. And again, that's the exhaust side. Okay, here's the intake side. Here's your transfer ports. They aim right here, friends. Okay. Now, not pop-up related, but where you aim these can change your RPM, can change where you make power. Believe it or not. Okay, if you pitch them up a little bit, sometimes you'll get a little more power up top. You can make a peakier saw or an angrier saw sometimes just by pitching those. Also, friends, just because we're here and you guys that stay to the end like stuff, sometimes I'll go like this right here. This is going to be a horrible drawing. I'll pitch them up at the front, at the leading edge, and I'll open them first at the front. I can grind this better than I can color it, but okay. I will pitch them up so they open first here and then they open there. And again, this is the exhaust side because it's the way I cut this. Okay, so realistically, I'd open them up closer to the intake, like this. Okay, so there you guys go. I hope that helped you. Now, don't get me wrong, both of these work. Either or. This is a Meteor, this is a Highway. I use these interchangeably. I like both. I don't hold my nose up at a pop-up, and I don't hold my nose up at a flat top. So I don't want you guys to get the wrong info. Stock rebuild, gasket delete, muffler mod, I'd say go with a pop-up. All-out port job. You know, you want to make more power up top, I'd probably go with one of these. Also, friends, these tend to be a little lighter than a pop-up. The weight difference between these two is ridiculous, but that's because this is a 372 and this is 272. But as you guys know, this piston will fit in this saw. So there you guys go. Well, I hope that answered the questions. I get that one all the time. Tin Man, should I buy a pop-up? I'm rebuilding XYZ saw, 372 and 044. Should I buy the pop-up or the flat top? Well, it really, either or. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if you're rebuilding that saw and you do it right, you're going to get a good, reliable, trustworthy saw that's going to make good power. If it's a 70cc class saw and it's made in the last 25, 30 years, it's going to be a runner. But like I said, pop-up, if you're just doing a muffler mod at a base gasket lead, throw a pop-up in there. It'll make a nice grunty saw with a wide power band, something that's useful to 90% of people out there. If you're porting, well, I would recommend a flat top. So there you guys go. Again, stay tuned. I will throw in the odd old video. You'll spot it right away, and I'll mark them old video. And enjoy. And thanks for hanging out, guys. We're getting back on track. I feel like I need to pull the skid steer in here in the next few days and do some work on it. But anyhow, we'll get to that when we can. Thanks for watching. Take her easy. See you in a couple days. Later.